Harry, part 2 of this prologue to a story that it has nothing to do with. Iron Man 84 was part 1. Now we have Iron Man 85. This is the next part of the arsehole story. Iron Man and the Avengers are fighting another big robot that was buried underneath their house. And what has happened is Iron Man embarks on a secret government mission to retrieve Arsehole Alpha, a Cold War scorched earth weapon buried under Avengers Mansion. I think you mean Avengers Embassy. Great editing, Tom. He, Iron Man, he cannot tell the Avengers, which becomes a problem when the robot gets loose. That last sentence is a syntaxical nightmare. The Avengers, we have featured that anyone besides Iron Man who could actually go toe-to-toe with an indestructible robot. So here is Vision. Don't know why we didn't have him already there in part 1, but he's here now. He was in the original story too, the original arsehole story. He was in the sequel as well. I mentioned Wonder Man last time, but like him, Vision is a great one to have battle arsehole. And my favourite thing about arsehole is that it is just this tank that they have to fight. There is no character with arsehole. It is a giant obstacle to overcome. It is a robot strong enough to defeat most of them and capable of withstanding almost everything they throw at it. So here we have the team, the Avengers, Iron Man, Vision, Falcon Man, Wasps, Paul Rudd Ant-Man, and Black Panther, and they are battling Arsehole Mark II. And I felt that the first part of this was me complaining too much about the Avengers series. And things like that do have a direct effect on, well, any book that stars an Avenger or that features the Avengers. I mentioned the continuity problem with Wasps in part 1, that she was there for the original story. She didn't do anything, but she was there. Another continuity problem we have is that Henry Guy Ritchie, in both parts 1 and 2, he is repeatedly treated as if he was around then. Now he was around, but he was never in those two stories. And his relationship with the Avengers was poor. He was adversarial. When he eventually tried to put the team on trial, at no point does he bring up the Doomsday weapon robot that was being kept hidden under their house. I am here to say he didn't know about it. He never knew about it. They didn't tell him. They were not obligated to tell him. And they probably knew that such a thing would only feed Henry Guy Ritchie's paranoia that superheroes are trouble. Of course, none of that is on a cover, so Tom Beevort doesn't know about it. The fight carries on through to the outside. It is night time now, which means any colour has taken a vacation from the comic. The colourful superhero characters no longer stand out in scenes, and it makes following the fight that little bit tougher when details or entire characters blend into everything else. There is a good comic or a good story that's in here and it is trying to manifest, but it's never able to get beyond meagre appreciation for what could have been. I overthink everything, that's clear. And I start getting preoccupied here by the notion that my whining about this issue or this story equates to hard man yells at clouds. That I am upset because it's not like something from the 80s, that the writing isn't like that the art isn't like that I hate it for not being something from 20 years earlier. The same time this came out, we had New Thunderbirds. That's a comic that is instrumental in my comic DNA. It does occasionally do some of the things I have bemoaned in this. There's decompression in New Thunderbirds, and Tom Beavorth, he is there trying his best to ruin things. I can like a comic with these things. I can look past the faults. And I'm not beholden to the idea that every comic needs to be like Avengers 265. Although that wouldn't be a bad thing. That's a really good issue. Great time to get to our next arrival with one of the worst splash page layout reveals possible. Miss Marbles, Karen Daggers, before they ruined her by making her into smelly Brie Larsons, she is there to take down Arsehole. Everything about this page is the result of an editor not giving a rat's arse, or a rat's arsehole. This is a splash page. It's meant to focus on the reveal. Miss Marbles coming onto the scene. She takes up maybe 11% of the page. And then the colouring is doing it an even greater disservice by drowning her out. Oh, she's wearing a John Jeffries era costume. She became a government employee, started working for Homeland Security so that she could stop 9/11 Part 2. It was a costume later reused for the evil Karen Daggers in a story in the solo series she had a few years later. I would be saying that it is nice to see her again, but I cannot see her much underneath the dark colouring. She is another one that is a good fit for Arsehole. Her and Arseholes go together well. She is very powerful, she is super strong, and she wasn't in those hard stories. I sound down on the comic, and I am down on a lot of what it has on display, but I think the plot, the script, and the pencils, they were all mostly good. They were taken and dragged down intensely by the other parts of the comic. We end with payoff to that bit from the start with Alfred and Henry Guy Ritchie. Remember that? The bit about trash collection. Did I ever tell the story about once when I worked for the council and one of the main parts of my job was making PowerPoint presentations about what day the bin collection is. I really want to like this. There's things that could and should have been done to improve it, but those things aren't done when the man in the editor's chair is just stamping the ticket and calling it a day's work. It was meant to pick up the slack in that instance. An artist cannot turn around and go, the colouring isn't right. That's overstepping boundaries. A freelance writer without Marvel's back catalogue on hand cannot discern if Wasps was in that first story. It's where an editor comes in. An editor is more than okaying things or remembering continuity. An editor is, in a sense, a manager. He manages the project. He's also a mediator. He's a neutral party. He's someone who can communicate between artist and colorist, and it's not inappropriate or unprofessional for the editor to suggest a different palette or relay what the other creators might think. One of the things this two-parter might be best for is showing how crucial an editor is. Even good or promising writers or an artist who is normally good still face challenges without an editor. 7 thumbs up, and the bin days were usually a Friday.